You may be watching this video as a result of seeing another video we filmed about a Benetti 40 metre, Benetti Oasis, and the fact that it's run by a company called SeaNet, who offer incredible opportunities to co-own a superyacht. Now, you can't talk about SeaNet without talking about, and indeed talking to, the founder Matty Zadnikar.
I would say welcome on board.
Thank you very much, and especially since you're on vacation at the moment with your family.
Yes, it's nice. Okay, but for me, there's always a mixture between business and private, and for sure when you're on the boating yourself. So I love boating. I'm very passionate about yachting. So and I have no issue at all to invite people over and to talk about it.
And in fact, yesterday we did a live stream interview, and I said to you before, I'm always worried whether people will tune into the live stream. And in fact, we had over 100 people tuned in, question after question after question. So I had nothing to worry about.
It was almost 2 hours, and even we had to stop at a certain point because I'm pretty sure we could continue for an extra hour in there.
It was amazing. What do you think is responsible for the popularity and the curiosity in SeaNet?
Let me see, when you look now, we are 7 years a young company. So we started in the Cannes Boating Festival in September 2016. And when we started with co-ownership, we mainly started in Europe. Now we know we are working on a global scale, more Europe, US, but we are also going or planning to go to Asia. Yeah, it was an absolute non-known concept. That was one thing, and that what people knew out of the past were that there was some tryouts, but none of them had worked. So people were very skeptical. People were very skeptical that in the ultra-high network environment that people would want to share a multi-million asset with other people. And I must say that people are very curious how we proceed, because they never thought that we would succeed in being still in the market and growing as fast as we have been growing after 7 years. So the curiosity is mainly coming that the concept is still very unknown, although we spend a lot of money in marketing, getting it to marketing, and I'm trying to be the global ambassador of co-ownership, but still there are a lot of questions. But let me see, the tendency of the question is now very positive. There were in the beginning it was very skeptical,
and cynical actually.
And very skeptical, cynical will never work, it will never survive, to now that people are very positive about. They see how we grow and they see that we take things serious, and I'm very proud on that.
And we said that yesterday, didn't we? That the first time we ever did a live stream, some of the questions were quite cynical and skeptical.
That's correct.
Yesterday there was none of that. It was real, genuine curiosity, because people have seen you grow. And as you refer to it as quite a young company, because in the terms of a business life, 7 years is a very short time.
Yeah, that's correct.
But the numbers and the financials, which you've always been quite open about, are really significant.
Yes, when you now see in the 7 years, we have closed 7 yachts in total that we also manage entirely. We have also the entire crew of those 7 yachts on our payroll, and each of the boats is running in rotational scheme. So that means we have, at the moment, we have a small 80 super yacht professionals on our payroll, all working for us on a daily basis. So we have done 30 share deals, so 7 yachts, 30 share deals, and we have 25 partners at the moment, active partners.
How is that possible? 25 partners, but 30 share deals?
No, very simple, and also that's something that we are proud of. 5 partners have already done multiple deals. So that means we have one who grew within the same yacht, so bought a bigger share of one of the exiting co-owners who then bought on his from his side a share in the bigger yacht. So we have people who are upgrading. And I must say, I already know now for the next 3 to 5 years that we have owners who are coming on board, doing a 35 meter, but say we want to test it, and when we are pleased, we want to grow to 40, 45, and 50 meter. So we have, at this moment, a very healthy growth from the inside. Existing partners love the program, get more time, get to know with the yachting industry, and being an owner, they understand what it means to be an owner, and then want to grow in size.
So something that has always struck me about you, Matty, is your energy, your positive energy. And I think a lot of people watching this, let's face it, you're a financially very successful guy. You've done really well. Did you not just want to retire? I think a lot of people watching this would think, you know what, if I could afford to do that, I would just sit back on a hammock somewhere on a Caribbean island.
Now you should ask my wife. I'm not that type of guy. I think the moment that I would do nothing anymore is the moment that I would die. So I have so much energy, and from the moment that I'm very passionate about something, and yachting has been my passion. Let me say boating. When I was younger, I didn't have the money for a yacht. It was boats. It was small boats. It started with small boats. The only thing that changes that during the success that you build in industry or in business, then the boats became bigger, and the boats became yachts, smaller yachts, bigger yachts. So, but I've always been very, very passionate about it. But the main thing, what I find so nice is that what we are now doing, and I invite a lot of potential buyers on board, and they stay a day or 2 days with me on board. For me, it's not work.
Yeah.
I find it it's for me such a pleasure to guide people into yacht ownership, because unfortunately, not every yacht ownership experience is successful. There's a lot, when I see around and when I hear sometimes the experiences that a lot of people have with boats, with the crew, with the management. I had recently on the phone a gentleman who is a very successful American businessman, and he told me, Matty, you have to understand, I have 35,000 people on my payroll. I have more headaches with the 10 guys on my 50-meter plus yacht. Please help me. I want to get rid of it. I want to get rid of all the hassle. I want to simply enjoy being an owner of a yacht. And I must say, he is not an exception. He is absolutely not an exception. And doing that gives me a lot of energy. So I love yachting. I love to be myself on board of the boats. I spend a lot of time there, and now I can combine it with business.
Yeah. So take me back to the day that you don't need to work anymore because you've become financially very successful, and the seed of an idea about co-ownership came to you. What was the route that led it from that to today with this significant business?
Well, let me say, I'm coming out of oil and gas. I already mentioned that in earlier interviews that we did together, and I sold my company in 2014. And then I took, and the plan was to retire. I was early 50s, and I promised my wife, I said, okay, I was always a 7-on-7 worker. I said, okay, we will now enjoy life. But I must say, after being 1 year on board of my boat, and where I had a wonderful time, I simply said to myself, this cannot be my future for the next 5, 10, 15 years. I need to do something. And then it was my wife that triggered at a certain point, says, yeah, but you're so passionate about boats. Why not trying to set up something in boating?
Does she regret that now?
No. Let me say, I don't regret that. Let me say now we know is also something where she can join me. Yes. Because the boat becomes our live showroom, and we invite people on board. But okay, then in 2015, 2016, I started thinking, and I'm a concept, I'm an entrepreneur who likes to launch new concepts, new ideas. I don't want to be a copy-paste guy.
Sure.
And I was looking in that yachting industry, what is still missing? And I built my concept around 3 points. Yeah, very simple. You buy a yacht, but you use it 5-6 weeks a year, max. But a year has 52 weeks. So what are you doing with the rest of the weeks? And people try then to optimize through charter, but the balance between your own use and what you pay is not there. That was the first point. The second point is what I mentioned. People find managing a yacht a real hassle. They don't want to do that. And for sure not in their vacation time. So finding a solution for the management in a professional way. And the third thing is retaining crew. And my earlier business in oil and gas, I had at peak moments in project up to 1,000 people on my payroll. So I know how important it is to take care of your people, of your employees. Your employees become your business card. So the challenge to define a new model where you can better retain, appreciate crew on board was for me the driver. And I ended up with co-ownership, where you reduce the cost. You only buy the percentage of the boat, so not the full boat. Reduce your running costs on a yearly basis related to your percentage. You have a fully professional management company who takes care of everything. That's what we do at SeaNet. And the last thing, your crew, due to rotation, because all our boats are full rotational, so people work 2 months on, 2 months off, you create a much better life, quality of life for your crew, and you retain them much better. So, and I think those 3 things I could combine in one setup, and that's SeaNet. And SeaNet is not my invention. SeaNet is an invention when I started Googling in 15, 16, like a lot of entrepreneurs, when you have an idea, you start looking at somebody already doing it. I found almost nothing in Europe, but I found 4 companies in the US, and one of them was SeaNet. So, and then I mailed them. I mailed all 4 of them, and 3 said, okay, let's have a chat. So I went over there, and I also met Mike Costa, who is my partner in the US. And Mike is already for more than 20 years in the business. He came from a different point of view. He is a combination of brokerage, co-owning dealership. He has a very successful dealership in Absolute in California. He has 7 branches from where he works, and he grows very fast. And he has done, I think, about 70 boats in the past 20 years. But he is more focusing on the segment, let us say, up to 80 foot. Yeah. Exceptionally, when there is some opportunity with his existing owners base, he does a 95 footer. He has done 2 Delfinos, and he is even now doing next year a Benetti Oasis, a 34 meter. But in 20 years, 3 bigger boats. So you see, it's not his main focus. His main focus is more below the 90 foot. So, and I said, okay, Mike, let's join, let's partner up. I don't want to become your boss. You take care of the US, you take care of your yachting segment, yeah. And I set something up in the super yacht range. So we start from 29 meter up. So let me say the 95 to 100 foot up to 60 meters. So, and now most recently we even differentiated because it created some discussions in the market. You have seen it in the US, you have seen it in Europe. What is the focus of both companies? We said very clearly, SeaNet US is SeaNet Yachts, up to 29 meter, and SeaNet in Europe, what we are doing, and we're working globally, we are SeaNet SuperYachts. And we even use the occasion to make our logo a little bit more sexy, a little bit more modern. Yeah. So that's the differentiation. And that's also the background of both companies. But we work very well together.
And the growth of SeaNet that I've seen is not just been adding yachts, it's also adding services. Last time we spoke about matchmaking. Where are you at now in terms of the different services that you offer? And also, what's the future hold?
Yeah, matchmaking. So I told you, core is co-ownership, and core will remain co-ownership. So I'm not going into brokerage. That's not my interest. I could do that simply to do more business, but my focus is not doing more business. My focus is becoming better and better in co-owning in my core. So I want to be a specialist and not a generalist. I'm not the type of guy who wants to do a little bit of everything, but nothing as a specialist. I want to do a small segment that's co-owning and be the best in co-owning. Yeah. That's our purpose. So when you now look to matchmaking, up the first, let me say 6 years, every boat that came in our fleet, the boat was purchased by me. So the boat was physically there. It was paid for. There were no bank loans behind it. And then we started selling shares, what is a very tricky a risky adventure, because there's a lot of money at stake. And in the boating, you have, first of all, the purchase price is high. Yeah, that's one thing. You speak about $1 million amount. Secondly, the boats depreciate. And I was very fortunate the past years that boat improved in price. Yes. So I was lucky. The market has helped it, but you also have the running costs. So when you're not selling shares, you have to take care of all of that. So that was our model of the past and still is our model today. So we will continue like that. But matchmaking is also co-owning, but then the boat is not owned by us, not purchased by me, but there is an existing owner who owns a contract, a new build contract, who owns a brand new boat. And he said, instead of chartering out, people now more and more think, why not taking 1, 2, or 3, a maximum of 3 partners who put the millions on the table, who share the running costs of a boat, and the entire boat is then managed by us. And we are the company who then finds those co-owning partners and takes care of it as an objective third party, and it works very well. And this year we have now, the boat that we are on is our first boat in that concept, is the Benetti Oasis 40 meter. And in that Oasis, that was a contract signed in 2020. The owner approached us. So that also means that people get to know us. So he approached us through the internet, and he said, Matty, look, I'm a very intensive businessman. I love the boat, I love the brand, but I would be very happy with a 50% ownership. So could you find me qualified co-owners, partners, and can you take care of the entire hassle? He has had before 5 boats. His wife was mainly managing the boats and doing the management. He said, I'm so fed up, I want to get rid of it. So find somebody that takes care of that, and we are doing that. So we found now in this boat already 216 shares, so 33% is sold already, and we are now in the final stage of closing that last share that hopefully by the end of September, so after the Cannes Boat Show, we can close that share. And then he is a very happy owner. So he has the partners, he reduces his cost, and there is absolutely no need to charter anymore. And he knows the guys that will be on board are just like him, guys who have paid millions and are still paying every year a lot of money to keep the boat in the best state. And he has a professional management company to take care of that.
When I hear you explain it like that, it really makes me realize that this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of potential, because you're so right. The fact is that yacht ownership can be a hassle, but so can chartering a yacht be a hassle to a degree. So not for everybody, but for some people, it makes more sense to find co-owners rather than to put the yacht on the charter market. And the end result is the same.
Yeah, let me say, I really believe there will always be owners who buy a boat. I've done that decades. Simply bought a boat, it was my boat. Nobody else on. I don't need other people. So, and I respect that it will always be like that. I also believe that there are people who said, I don't have a lot of time, I want a charter boat for 2 weeks. Absolutely. But I think there's a space in the market where we are moving and we are growing, where people say, I want to be an owner, but I don't necessarily need to be the 100% owner. So I think there is a section there. The only thing what I wanted to make a point, and that's also important for people who view this interview, matchmaking sounds for a lot of people very interesting, and it is very interesting, but there are certain conditions. And what I now notice, and I want to share that very openly, that when we launched that concept last year, we got requests for much bigger boats, 50 meters, 60 meters, 70 meters. But when you then start talking and discussing, then you get people, yep, I want to remain 50% co-owner, what is absolutely not a problem. Yeah? But I want to be in charge, I want to dictate what is happening, I want to decide this, I want to decide that. Sorry, then don't think about co-ownership. Co-ownership, and I'm the one who is controlling that and trying to keep it in balance. You can be the 50% owner, yeah? But when I bring a 1/6, the 16% co-owner in the scheme, that co-owner has in his time exactly the same rights as the 51. So it's not the big one against the smaller one. So it has to be balanced. And when you don't have that mindset, don't start with it. So that it's sharing means also caring. You have to take care of your partners. And that means that even when you have 50%, there will be years that some of the weeks will not appointed to you, will be appointed to that maybe 1/6 shareholder, but has the same rights to certain weeks what you have, but then in a different moment. So, and that's a very important thing. So matchmaking and co-owning means also that you have to have an open mind, that you understand you optimize a lot of money. Yeah, really, you speak about a lot of money that you save in purchase and in running costs. But the other side also, you have to give something and then you can take something. It has to be in balance.
Yeah, and there's a few factors to consider, isn't there? There's everything's some sort of a compromise. You can't necessarily just take the yacht and go off to cross the Atlantic because you're a co-owner now, you're not the whole. But on the other hand, the financial aspect is so favourable. And you know, as you were talking, I was thinking, why do people put their yacht on the charter market? Well, there's two reasons. One is it reduces the running costs. And the other is it's good for the yacht to be used regularly. It's good for the yacht. It's
but
good
also for the crew. The crew wants to be busy. Can you imagine that you're on a boat, you're employed on a boat, and 4 weeks a year somebody comes on board. And you wait on the phone when those 4 weeks will be. Yeah, I would go nuts. Yep, and that people become at a certain point, that crew at a certain point disconnect. Yeah, when you're every day cleaning, thinking that next day an owner will come, but he is not coming, and you do that 365 days a year, believe me, the moment will come that you fully disconnect. But so you create lazy people.
Now there's an alternative to achieve those two objectives to having to put your yacht on the charter market. Now, you go to SeaNet, you ask for the matchmaking services, and you take on a co-owner.
Yep.
And you accomplish exactly the same as you would have done if you were putting the yacht on the charter market.
With one side remark, and that's the limitation in amount of people that you can allow in the structure. I'm speaking as being European based, but I also feel if we ask people, everybody wants to enjoy in the summer at least 14 days on board of a boat. Prefer a little bit more, 17, 18 days. 3 weeks is for a businessman in a row is already a long time when you're really active. But when you then look to European summer, what starts from the last week of June, or let me say mid-June to the last week of June until the first week of September, then you can only have a maximum of 4 to 5 owners to respect that time frame. So yes, you can do it, but you have to limit it. So sometimes I see nowadays new concepts starting with 16 or 12 or 10 co-owners. I don't understand how this will work, because the summer, then in the summer you can have maybe 5 days, but you can never.
There's no point there.
There's no point. It makes no sense. So you have to reduce the amount of people that you bring together. An important topic is people don't need to know each other. Stronger, 99% of our owners don't know each other. They know from the paperwork, the owning company structures behind it, the shareholder structures behind it, but there is no physical, there is no email, there's no digital contact between the owners. Everything is managed through us as an objective party, and we need to balance the interests of everyone on board. So that's equal.
So Matty, let's talk about the future. what plans are going on? Because you're certainly not a static company. You're
No,
always
no.
moving somewhere. What's happening there?
I told you we have, so the past is the 7 boats, a business volume of a small 90 million. When you look from a share perspective, what we sold. We have now a 50 million volume in the pipeline. So we have concluded a 53 meter new build.
53.
53 meter full custom new build in the beginning of the year, together with one of our
So
partners.
that's a done deal. That's
That's
ordered.
a done deal. We are not yet communicating to the outside. This will be happening.
Well, you've
let me
done
say,
it now.
around
You've
the Cambodia.
communicated it.
Yeah, but not the specifics of the deal. So not what the boat builder will be, but we are very proud on that, and I'm very proud that we could do that with an existing owner in our partnership. So somebody on a 35 meter who will move up in 26 to a 53 meter boat, and we're taking care of the entire guidance of the build. We have been part of the negotiation, the setting up, and we will make sure that he will get the best boat built. So we will do
You're
everything.
telling me it was like 6 months of
We done
working on
6
this,
months very intensively. I also somebody who is very known in the industry, Nikolai. Yeah, we are aligned with each other. We set up a strategic partnership. Yeah, together, because what I notice is in our business, having the best professionals in the business brought together in one team to build a yacht is the best way forward. I know a lot about yachts. I know a lot about building process, but I not have the ego to say that I know everything. So we try to bring the right people around the table to create the best possible yacht project. And Nicola is for sure one of those professionals who is helping us in getting the yacht there where we want to have her. So really, that's one project. So delivery in the Q1 of 26. Yeah, I must say I'm very proud that we're entering more and more in that bigger class. And I'm now in the final stage, not yet signed, but we are pretty close. I had a communication this morning with the gentleman of a 37 meter steel aluminium yacht. Yeah, steel aluminium, 37 meter, that we hopefully by the Cannes Boat Show can conclude. And that's again matchmaking. The owner has taken delivery 2 weeks ago. He's now enjoying the boat, a brand new boat. Yeah. But he told me, Matty, I would really like to have 2 to a maximum of 3 co-owners in the 50% second part. So he wants to remain 50%, and we are looking for 2 times 25 or maximum 3 times 16.66% co-owners. So then we will grow to 9 boats. And my aim is, so I hope that the Cannes Boat Show will help us, but by the end of the year we want to end up with 10 yachts in our fleet.
And actually we'll be talking in a few moments to Tomislav, who's your operational manager, about how that will impact him. But beyond even Tomislav's work, how are you going to cope with the growth? Because from 7 to 10, and the 53 meter especially, that's a big yacht. What plans do you have to be able to keep giving the same level of service to clients?
Yeah. I think what is important, what I told you in earlier interviews, is for me, quality goes before quantity. So when I speak about growing, and yes, I aim for those 10 yachts, but I only aim for 10 yachts when we are able to manage them and run them in the way we have done it for the first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the quality is for me the primary aim. So it has to be qualified. To do that, your organization and your backbone has to grow. But not only people-wise, people are there to work based on operating processes. So we are improving and we're continuously working on putting the procedures in place, fixing them in guidelines, in operational rules based on which we work. And we are continuously mirroring all arrangements that we have with what we see and the experience that we get and the feedback from owners on the boat. So we are improving. So we are aiming for a perfect functionality, but we are not perfect. We are a company, we are human beings, and human beings make mistakes. But we continuously like to evaluate, to learn, and to improve. And I must say we get a lot of credit by our owners that they give us the chance to improve our performance. When you now see, today, when I make a rough calculation, we handle at the moment for the 6 plus 1, because the 7 is the one in build, so it's not yet operational, but we manage for those 6 yachts, we manage around 8 million in running costs. 8 million, keep in mind, that's the full costing of the boat. When owners come on board of our boats, we pay everything. They only get the bill afterwards. So I don't want to mix up their holiday with payments, with credit card, can you give us that, this? No, we take care of the entire experience. So 8 million, when 8 million flows through your books, some in cash payments, some in credit card payments, some in invoicing, you need to have a very strong accountancy. You also have to have a system that's controlled from multiple eyes. Because when no control makes the thief. Yeah, and I don't say that people are thieves, but you have to set up a BI, a business intelligence system that you can control all those processes. So we implemented an online accountancy that's connected to an online payment system that from the moment that on each boat we have credit cards, from the moment that a captain, a chief steward, a chef, there's one payment with the card, automatically it pops up on his phone. He has to say which cost category, and it comes into our accountancy. There's another one controlling it, and it rolls automatically into our accountancy. And there's an entire dashboarding, financial dashboarding behind it, where we evaluate the budgets that we made upfront and the actuals that we are realizing. And what is the difference? And we report in a bridging way on what's the difference, why we differentiate between budget and actuals. So, and when you go now in the direction of a 50 meter, you speak about a lot of money, so this becomes even more important. Yeah. Another topic where we are working on, when you have one boat, we have 5 boats, you go to 10 boats. On all the boats you have engines. On all the boats you have your engine maintenance, you have your generator maintenance, you have your stabilizer maintenance. Now we get a lot of data to compare. Yeah, what is the cost of boat 1 versus the cost of boat 2? Yeah. You can also use now more and more the scale, so we can make arrangements over Europe with service suppliers for the maintenance on board of our boats. So we are really monitoring stuff like that. So I have my right hand, what is Leon, that you interviewed last year, Leon Klapwijk, who is focusing very much on that. He is the COO in the company, and it's his task to, let me say, to accelerate our operational excellence. Yeah. So that's his part. So I'm not a visionary.
Yeah. It's a fascinating subject when you talk about running costs, because I know from experience of visiting yachts of the same size, exactly the same size, same age, and yet one will be spending 2 million a year on running costs and the other 1.2. That's an 800,000 euro difference. And looking at the yacht, you can't see that one is noticeably run any better than the other. In fact, sometimes it's just down to the captain and the management company who are being a little bit more astute and wise. Yeah. And sometimes, as you know, you'll get a yacht owner who's so wealthy that he just doesn't have time to look at where the money's going. He just pays it. And unfortunately, sometimes that can be taken advantage of.
Yes, but you are always also you have to be very prudent. That means that the example that you give 1.8 or 1.2, it don't means that the 1.2 is doing better. You always have to balance, because when you want to keep up your yacht in the top state, it simply costs money. It costs a dedicated. You need a dedicated crew, because that's the most important thing. Having the right crew and the right management company that supports, but also controls and steers the crew. Yeah. I think it's even that, so their importance are equal, both are equal, but you also need the money. So when you want to keep it in the top state, like it should be, and that's something when you would see our oldest boat in the fleet. The first one that we started with, we had an insurance audit on the boat, and we had also Matty people on the boat. He could not believe that the boat is the age that it was, and the hours. We sail with each boat around 500 to 600 hours a year. What is a lot.
Something I wanted to ask you maybe as a last question is that I've heard you talk about all kinds of shares, different percentages of shares. After 7 years, what's the sweet spot in shares, and what does that actually give to a co-owner?
Yeah, this is a very good question, and it's a question that keeps us busy internally a lot. What is the best combination? And I must say, when you look from a business point of view, the most easiest setup for us would be 3 times 33, so 1/3, or 4 times 25. Very simple. We advertise in that way, we go to market, and that's it. We would not be there where we are today when we would have continued that model. So for us, first of all, about bringing a boat together with co-owners and getting 100% closed is based on a lot of creativity. That means that you speak with multiple people, and people who join us are all people that have the money. I cannot point it out enough. All the people, we have no owner who don't has the money to buy outright the yacht. They all have the money. To do that, but they are very keen how they spend. So they relate what the percentage to how much time of the year I can use it. Yes. And they don't want to have a share that's bigger than the time they are intending to use. And another thing is also that each day they have, they use. Maybe not them, maybe it's that the gentleman does it with his friends, or the wife does it with her girlfriends, or they do things together with a business partner or with family, but there is not one day that they don't use. So what we know to do is we go in discussion with people, and very often their needs are different. Yeah, depending on their age, depending on the way that they are still occupied in business, yes or no. And so for us, it's very often a mixture. And I've learned that the model of 33% split it and 16%, a combination of a 33% share and a 60% share works best. And I will explain to you. What we now have, you can have 2 times 33%. You have 66% sold, and on the end you have 2 times 1/6. Yeah, 2 times 16% to conclude it. Yeah, or you have 1 time 33% of a gentleman says, I want to have more time, and 33% means at this moment you have 64 days a year. So that's nine weeks.
33% gives you 64 days.
64 days. That's a lot of time.
It is.
That's a lot of time. I don't know a lot of people who spend so much time.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, not a lot of people, but there are people that say, okay, it's worth it. Normally I was intending to buy 100% of a yacht and then have the hassle to optimize my cost. Now I'm buying 33% of a boat and have some spare time that gives me more flexibility. That's one thing. But then you have the dedicated business guys who are still very active. They say, no, I like to have that 1/6 share because it's 32 days. You have 7 days in the out of season. You have a little bit more than 2 weeks in the main season. Yeah, what is nice in the summer season, and you have 10 days in the winter time, and that together gives you 32 days. So, and that's for the majority goods. So for us, the sweet spot is a good combination between 33 and 16,
Totally
0.66.
Yeah. Actually, now I understand for the first time, because you also said it on the live stream yesterday, and when you said it, I was trying to wrap my head around it, but now completely understand.
Yeah, it's finding a way, but creativity is very important, because sometimes we even, in the share, we make a mixture. Because I have people, we set up all our boats in double season, because I really believe that's the optimum way of using your investment. It still is a lot of money that you put in a boat. But there are co-owners coming to me, and Matty, very nice what you're doing, but in the winter I'm a ski fanatic. I don't go to the boat. I don't want to, I'm not interested. But I still want to have a share. And then sometimes we, in those packages, we split. We combine. Some of them say, American buyers say, could I have 2 times 2 weeks in the winter? Yeah. And then we swap, but I need not the out of season in Europe. So we are very creative in trying to bring people together. It's not easy. When I look and I discuss with my COO, say, Matty, what are you doing with the planning? But that's our success. Tailor the share around the need of a family. And I think that's very important.
And it's certainly working. Matty, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
We need to finish filming the yachts. When I say we, I mean you. Thanks again, Matty. That was great.
See you next year.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, thanks.
Tom, great to be here with you. Contrary to appearances, we did not telephone each other this morning to make sure we were dressed this. We just have impeccable taste.
Exactly, yeah. Great minds think alike, kind of a thing.
I think you have a unique job, pretty much. What led you to become, what was your career path that led you to become the operations manager at SeaNet?
Yeah, being around the boats most of my life, it all started with sailing boats and racing. From there, I joined SeaNet, joined Sunseeker Croatia all the way back in 2006 through various positions up until I became a captain of a 34-meter Sunseeker, very, very busy and successful charter yacht in Croatia. And after that, I actually moved to South Africa for 10 years and founded a family. And when we decided to come back to Europe, I joined SeaNet in 21 as a captain of one of the boats, one of Delfinos called Portovino. And a year later, opportunity arose to take this position and become operations manager for the fleet.
Yeah, in fact, Matty's quite proud, rightly proud of the fact that he likes people to come up from within the organisation to have a good career path. And so when you went from being the captain to the operations manager, what happened to, for want of a better expression, the people beneath, the people below you in their position?
Yeah, it was. This is DNA from the beginning. We're sitting now on board our 40 meters Benetti. That's mastered by a gentleman who 9 years ago was a deckhand engineer on the smallest boat in the fleet, or the only boat in the fleet at the time. So that's what Matty likes. That's what I also like. My predecessor Gianni also tend to promote people whenever there was an opportunity. So we maintain that to this day, and we tend to move people as soon as they're ready and as soon as opportunity arises for them to grow within the company.
Actually, for the benefit of the viewers, we've just been saying off camera that it's a horrible expression to say the people below you. So I guess we'd say the people with lesser responsibility.
That's probably the right way to put it. While I was a captain, I would always say I'm just the first among equals. I never saw myself as being a captain and the rest of the crew is below me. We're just one team, and it's same here. I'm just part of the machine, just one cog in a machine with a lot of responsibility, as you mentioned. But yeah, they're not below me. We're all on the same level. We just do different tasks.
Yeah, some people have more responsibility than others, and so as you move up in your responsibility, so do other people who previously had less. We've clarified that. And let's talk about that responsibility. You've now got even more responsibility than you did as the captain of a yacht. What's your day-to-day role in the company?
Correct. As a captain, you have your boat, your crew, and owners, co-owners, guests that are coming on board, and that's it. I now have all the boats, all the captains, all the crew, and pretty much in certain ways all the co-owners to take care of. I usually start the date with a check on all the captains on all the boats. What's their situation? What are their plans? We are now, for example, already finalizing transport of all the yachts to Caribbean. We're organizing shipyards in October and November. It's almost all organized already, and all those things we really need to think in advance in order to make SeaNet run smoothly, because it's really challenging with the way we operate in dual season with so many yachts to run everything.
I think that people who are watching the video who are not familiar with the day-to-day running of a yacht maybe don't fully understand how much there is to do. And yesterday I was sitting with you and Matty, and you were telling Matty about an insurance representative who's just done an inspection of one of the yachts. And that was something I'd forgotten about, that you also have to have regular inspections from the insurance people. What are the sort of regular events and visits and renewals need to take place on a yacht?
Exactly. So we have a flag surveys. Then we have a class surveys. In our case, all of our boats are under RENA. And then on top of that, we're doing these insurance surveys. So insurance wants to make sure that the whole fleet is run properly, boats are managed properly, crew is certified, all the services are done in time, so that they know they're insuring something that most likely won't have big problems. So that's the main stuff. On top of that, obviously, you can have a visit from the Coast Guards, visit from police, checkups on boats, checkups on safety equipment, on the certification of the crew and all those things. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff involved. Knowing that we do a dual season, so sometimes we're in the States, then you need to deal with the US Coast Guard, sometimes you're in Caribbean, all of Mediterranean. It's interesting, but I have to say we didn't really have any issues with the authorities, because we fully covered with documentation and everything, so no problems there.
How did the insurance visit go, by the way?
Very well. Gentleman was very happy. He's seen 5 of 6 of our boats at the moment, and he just saw the 5th boat, my previous boat, recently. Very happy with the captain and the crew and the way we maintain the boat. So we're really proud of it. There is some room for improvements in terms of implementing new management software and procedures on the higher level, but we're working on finalizing the solution for that after Cannes Boat Show this year.
I'm interested, talking to Matty, and as you know, I've been visiting SeaNet every year, I think, for the last 4 years. The fleet has grown and grown and grown, and we know now that it's continuing to grow, not just in number, but in size. What sort of challenges is that going to bring for you?
Yeah, it's interesting. I have to say, my predecessor did a great job, and I inherited well-oiled machine. Now we're just putting it on another level with the size of the boats that are coming in the fleet, and we're putting good foundations to have lesser problems in the future and run it properly. But challenges are huge, from delays in transportation. Any delay in cross-Atlantic transportation for us is less time for maintenance. Less time for maintenance is not really acceptable, because we really do thorough maintenance of our yachts. We invest a lot of money and make sure that, and you've seen all the yachts throughout these years, they really look very well, look good. And from spare parts deliveries, then your service is delayed because there's no spare parts. Crew is another issue. We're really blessed to have fantastic crew members, but there are often problems, crew injuries, then someone's on a sick leave, you need to replace him, stewardess that can't get Schengen visa in time because there's huge backlog in an embassy and can't join the boat, you need to find a replacement, all sorts of problems on all levels. So it's never a dull day in this position.
Yeah, in fact, as you were talking, it reminded me of what happened yesterday, which was that for the benefit of the viewers, we booked ourselves in, myself and Ricky and David booked ourselves into a hotel that turned out to be an awful hotel in completely the wrong position on the island, and we couldn't get a taxi. So I called you and I said, Tomislav, we've got this problem. At the time we hadn't met, had we? We'd spoken on the phone, but we'd not actually met. Boom, 5 minutes later we have a Mercedes Viano turn up, pick us up, and I said to the guys, we shouldn't have worried, this is SeaNet. When SeaNet are involved, things always go smoothly. And I guess it's typical of the kind of situation where you just jump in, you resolve the problem, and you make it a lot easier for the people, whether they're co-owners or people offering a service to the yacht.
Exactly. In this case, it was me, because I was on the ground here. If it was something that was happening on a boat or in some other situation, that would be our hospitality manager, Ellies. She would have taken care of that situation, as she does in most of these critical situations.
Great, and I wanted to come on to Ellie because I interviewed her. I interviewed her. I think 2 years ago. And it's really interesting, her role. How does her role differ from your role in the company?
Well, just to go a little bit back, Matty and senior management realized that one person cannot run all of this. So there is a strict division between hospitality and operations. Operations is more technical. I'm running the navigation and mechanical crew, engineers and deck crew and captains. Safety of the boats, maintenance of the boats, transfers, all of those things to make sure boats are running. Ellie, on the other hand, is running, or she's looking after the chefs, stewardesses, and whole relationship with the co-owners, meaning preference lists, ordering special goods, things that they want, they need. Someone comes with a baby, they need prams, they need baths, they need all those things, for example. That's just one example. So there's no conflict in our two roles. Obviously, we have to work together, and we really work very well together. There's no overlaps. There are moments when we help each other. Can you please help me out with this or with that?
I guess with the crew there must be a little bit of an overlap, because is Ellie responsible for the crew training as well?
She is, but that's mainly for hospitality crew. So stewardesses and chefs, where I then take care of the deck crew.
Yeah,
so chief engineer, captain, chief officer, and the rest of the crew. But we will do this year in October, for example. We'll have a meeting with all the crew where we will do training together, because obviously we're not two different worlds. The crew works and lives on the same yacht, so you could say there is overlap there, but in responsibilities and in day-to-day operations, there's no overlap, except that we do help each other with the crewing process. What do you think about this candidate? What do you think about this candidate? That's what's very important, you know.
Sure. So I'm guessing that Ellie must have really quite a good knowledge of the co-owners, because she needs to know their tastes in food and decor and all kinds of things. Do you have much contact with the co-owners yourself?
I do when it's needed. I do have contact with all the co-owners of Portovino because I was their captain. So over the time, obviously, you build the relationships, and that works really nice, and that's also beautiful. With the other co-owners, occasionally, yes, when there is need for a special arrangement or something special that will involve my input as well. Also, crew changes. Captains, when we change captains, when we promote captains, when we do those type of things, we always tend to obviously inform them, and then often I will have a chat with our co-owners about it.
And a final question that's an important one, because a lot of viewers of the YouTube channel are really interested in having a career in the yachting industry. Funnily enough, just this morning I had another email from somebody who's interested in joining the industry and wanted some advice. But what's your advice for somebody who wants to have a role such as yours, or in any case in the yachting world?
This role is specific, obviously, as you know. There's not too many people who are doing something like this. Not too many fleets out there, such as SeaNet, and you definitely have to have a yachting background to properly do this. Bachelor or any degree is not gonna really help if you don't have that background. I started modestly and slowly, like anybody else, on the French coast looking for a job, which I managed to get through an agency in Antibes as a deckhand on a boat, and then slowly built my way up. We in SeaNet also are looking for guys that are enthusiastic, that are willing to learn, that are hardworking, and I believe that's the only formula. Be open to new experiences, learn, see where it will take you. Maybe you don't feel like taking all that responsibility and being a captain or a manager in a fleet like this. Maybe you're happy being a chief officer. Maybe you do have capability. And also, obviously, there's a bit of luck that needs to be involved, like in any business, like in any career. But I would say just be humble, work hard, learn, and future will be bright for you. That's I believe, the best advice I can give.
That's a great way to end the interview. Thank you so much, Tom. It's been an absolute
You're welcome.
pleasure.
Thank you very much.